Well, good afternoon, everyone, and happy Wednesday to you. Gosh, we are kicking off the best month, I believe, of the entire year because we're moving right into that holiday selling season. My name's Joan Robison. I'm really excited to be here and introduce you to my special guest today, social media expert Megan Miles. But before I introduce you to her, I've got a couple things that I want to share with you. And first off, I want to draw our Ignite the Light cards and let's set the mood right here. All right. So many of you know that each and every Monday I do a morning motivation that really has evolved into supporting people claim an empowered mindset. We do a lot of different things from breathing, teaching people how to work with fears and break through those fears to really get to where they want to be, and whether that's in business or life. We have a regular community that I just love that part of the week because really what we're doing is empowering you with tools. And these tools are tools that you can use throughout the week, not only with yourselves, but to help your team get unstuck. So I want to draw a card. And for those of you that have never got my cards, you can get the Ignite Your Light cards at joanrobison.com/shop, and you'll find these. Well, isn't this interesting? Say yes to the thing that scares you. Am I letting fear keep me from the life that I want to create? By living in fear, I am living in the dark. Fear can hold me back from the very life that I want to create. I don't know about you guys, but how many of you have been there? I think back to different times in my business where I found myself procrastinating, and that was exactly what was going on. It was really, I was in fear, and it was just disguised as procrastination. But by leaning into fear and walking through it afraid, I gained courage, confidence, and strength. And I want to add to this. I believe that with every step that we take forth in courage and faith, we learn a little bit more about ourselves. And by taking that action, we begin watching the fear dissipate right before our eyes. We then go from kind of fear to gaining that confidence. And from confidence is where we gain experience and wisdom. So think on that. Flip the switch and come into the light. Just for today, my answer is yes. Think about it this way, guys. Oftentimes, those times of our lives where we know that, in order to move forward, I need to say yes to learning the skill or doing the very thing. And we can be stuck. We can be in those places, but taking that step is actually you planting seeds, and those seeds eventually will bloom. I want to bring on my guest, Megan Miles. She's a social media expert, and also I am partnering with her in the Ultimate Recruiting Bootcamp. But today we're going to be talking about how to crush the Facebook algorithm. This is going to be just a down and dirty training. So get your pens and papers ready because here's Megan. She just popped on in the background and I'm bringing her right on. Megan.
What's up? Hello, hello.
Woo! Well, I'm so thrilled to have you here. I know that, let me put it this way. There isn't a person out there who doesn't want to know a little bit more about the Facebook algorithm and really how to, I'd say, get out ahead of it, how to kind of master that. So I know that you've got 3 areas that you're going to touch on today. And I want to really give our guests some quality tips. Wow. And value.
Maxine is getting a little wild back there.
Maxine just ran right up my leg. I think I've got some new claw marks. Interesting. All right. Megan, let's take it away.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, what's up? My name is Megan Miles, and I've been in the profession for almost 11 years. And for those of you who maybe tuned in last week, you got to hear a little bit more of my story. If you didn't catch it, go catch it after this training. We talked all about the biggest mistakes that I made so far in my network marketing career to help you advance quicker. But today's going to be a pretty no fluff kind of training because I think in a world filled with so many crazy things, and we talked about doing this training about using ChatGPT and AI, and those are fun things, and we can get into that. Like I told Joan, I'm more than happy to come on back and share more of that stuff. But what I really recognize after this weekend, being at an event with a ton of people in the field, is that it all comes down to the foundation of having a solid social media algorithm working for you. And so Joan, what I want to do is I want to dive in with a couple of, I want to dive in first off by sharing, where people should be building on social media, how to be built, actually building, and then my 3-step formula. And I'm going to touch a little bit. And then by the end of this as well, I want to invite you to a way to get all this formula information for free because we only have so much time today in this quick moment. But so we're going to kind of dive in there. So thanks, Joan, for having me on. And well, I want to ask you actually, Joan, really quickly. When you think of people who come into this business and maybe they haven't built, on social, haven't used social media a lot, or maybe
Sure.
they've tried other methods that maybe didn't work, like what do you feel like are some of their biggest struggles, or maybe that you hear from your audience all the time?
Yeah. I think some of the biggest struggles that I hear, Megan, from people are, they're looking at maybe a really great, what they feel is a quality post, and they're lacking engagement.
Mm,
That's a big one. And, I think also, I'm going to give you just a couple areas, but I think lacking engagement. And then what I feel like that does to people is it kind of deflates any confidence that they had because they're like, gosh, I've been posting consistently for a couple weeks and I'm still not getting the engagement. So that's a really big one. The next piece that I think is interesting is, there's a lot of kind of rumored, like it's best to post at this time, or
yeah.
it's best to go out and be a giver and comment on your friends and their, posts. And I just would love for you to also dispel some of those things if they're myths, or maybe the truth around some of those things.
Yeah.
Um, and then the last thing I want to say is I think people think of social media, or Facebook specifically, because I know we're really going to talk about that today, as like it's my selling platform. And you and I both know it's not a selling platform. It's a social platform. And I think people jump ahead, Megs. I think what happens is they get real excited to sell their product, which always is going to be an end result. But I think they're missing some pieces in between. So does that help?
Yeah, that's good. I'm taking some notes here. Okay. So before I'm going to dive in and I'm going to break down the exact way that the Facebook algorithm works. So for those of you that might be wondering, like, why am I not getting engagement? Why am I not getting comments? Like, I'm going to break that down for you. And before I do, though, I'm going to tell you here is my 3-step formula I want you to write down, because what you just said, so key. People think that, oh, they're going to post about stuff, they're automatically going to get these sales and people asking for links. And, yes, you can drive sales from social media, but social media is meant to engage people first. Okay. So here are the 3 steps that really you need to know is engage, attract, convert. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you notice, if you don't engage, you can't attract. And if you don't attract, you can't convert unless you're hounding people truthfully. And
Mhm.
so if you want to kind of use this attraction marketing method, if you've heard that term before, I want you to think of like 2 magnets, right? That are like compelled towards each other. Likes attract likes. The reason, and we're going to dive into this more to another time, why so many people build a brand is because they want to create their ideal client, their ideal person. You will find your ideal business partner the more you show up on social media as you, and the more you have your authentic online presence. And so, because again, likes attract likes, right? So I want you to think of versus those two magnets, okay? So how are you becoming a magnetic presence to your ideal customer? And
Mhm.
then also, how are you engaging? We're going to talk on that. So engage, attract, convert. And this engage is really where we're going to spend a few minutes. Like I said, kind of no fluff, give it to you. So first off, if you're not already building on Facebook, I will say I was in the room with over 100 top performing network marketers this weekend. About 87%, maybe 92% of the room raise their hands that they're building on Facebook is where they have the most success. If you're doing something elsewhere and it's working, great. I know there's a couple of TikTokers and things like that. It's going to be much harder, A, to try to go to a new platform, or B, sorry, the sun is in my eyes. Try to manage several platforms. And
Mm.
the moment I started to have success online, I remember it very clearly because I was sitting at my desk. My son was probably like 9 months, and I had been to a vendor event, and I came home crying because I was, rocking him on the hip, trying to help customers. And I had this moment of like, I have to make this work online. Like, I can't, this isn't sustainable. And so I was like willing to do anything possible to make this work. That was when I had that kind of decision. And for me, the decision also was, okay, I need to stop trying to build on understand Instagram and Facebook. And, this was before TikTok, but like Twitter and LinkedIn and all the things. And I just decided to go all in on Facebook. And over the next 6 months, through trial and error, I learned exactly how the algorithm works. Okay. So Facebook has the highest quality leads, and it is hands down one of the best places to build. So, like I said, if you're building somewhere else and it's working, great. But if you're on Facebook and you know it's super user friendly, I want to encourage you to stay there. So, I'm going to bring up these Legos, and some of you might be like, what do Legos have to do with social media? Okay, if that is it, by the way, if you're tuning in, I'd love to know. Drop a comment down below, drop a 1. And if you're watching the replay, drop a 2. And maybe tell me some guesses. What do you think the Facebook algorithm has to do with Legos? Well, it takes us back to, gosh, I don't know, at least probably 7 or 8 years ago when we were on Facebook, and all of a sudden we started to see less people on the Facebook feed. Does anyone remember that? Like, we went from, seeing all of our friends to now I'm seeing like the same 20 people over and over, right?
Mhm.
And wondering, like, did people delete you? Where are they? Well, what happened is Facebook decided to start to show your content and vice versa to only the like top, X amount of people that you engaged with. So what they did, this is how I kind of like to explain it. And at the end of the day, the algorithm is this kind of uncontrollable, in a sense, like it's like this imaginary thing. I just imagine up at Facebook headquarters, like all of these machines, and they're just cranking and figuring, it is a mathematical equation. That really is what it is. It boils down to numbers. And
Mhm.
if you can learn how to understand the algorithm, you can train the algorithm to do what you want it to do. Literally, it's crazy. Like, I know for sure um, how to get X amount of comments or X amount of engagement, or because of this knowledge, right? And so you have to understand, how does it actually get people to come to you, right? So I like to think of our friends list as, it went from being this like one piece. We had like our friends list and we would see everyone, to now they kind of took our friends list into segments. Okay. So what happens is now we have all these different segments of our audience, our friends and our followers. And so now when I post something, what happens This is like my top 20 friends and family favorites that, I talk to every day. I'm always commenting on their stuff and vice versa. These are like my besties, right? What happens is my post, when I post something, it goes immediately to this group of people.
Mm-hmm.
If the post has some love and engagement, Facebook will say, oh, people kind of like this. So it will then move on to your next group of highest engaged people. So your next section of your audience, okay? Now, if it continues to get some likes and comments, it will move to the next, okay? It will continue to do that until it gets so down the hole where it's losing some of the engagement, maybe because it's people that, like don't even remember you, like they're on your friends list that barely know you, and it'll kind of like stop pushing it to the next section. But if you ever post, we're going to tell you how you can get some like highly engaged, I wonder if I can give you from this later. But anyways, I have a whole packet of high social media engagement posts. But if you ever wonder if you have had a high engaging post, why like a week later you're like, man, I'm still getting comments, it's because again, it's slowly showing it to more sections of your audience. Okay. So drop a comment. I want you to drop a 3 in the comments. Okay. If the Lego makes sense. Okay. Does that make sense? Joan, would you say I gave a fair explanation of how our audience now is taken up into segments and shown, our content is shown to people based on the initial engagement? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Okay, so if we understand now how we can show our content to more people, now we can focus on the right activity, which is A, create a piece of content that will now create a quick engagement. And
Mm-hmm.
then B, go and create engagement with those initial viewers or engagees, because now it will push the algorithm. So for instance, like when I post, someone comments on my post. Well, I ask questions so I can get people to talk. And in a minute, I'm going to share why that's so important. So I ask questions, but I'm always in the comments as well asking questions. So I'm responding back. And now Facebook's like, whoa, there's like 12 comments in 4 minutes. We're going to push this on to the next section and so on and so forth.
Okay, Megan, I got to stop you because this is really good. And I think because we have so many questions around engagement, I mean, I get them all the time. So what, and I'm just going to repeat a couple things you said. So what you're saying is that maybe I've got some content that goes up, but if I just put my content up and then maybe head out to an appointment, I'm really missing the boat, aren't I?
Yeah.
That's what I want you to talk about just a little.
Okay.
I mean, you're kind of going into that, but it sounds like, oh, people are probably like, I thought I just put a great post up there and they're waiting for engagement. In actuality, it's what?
Yeah. Yeah. So I will actually have people do what I like to call boost my post. I've heard different opinions about this, but I do know for us, it works, because what will happen is Facebook has decided pretty much within 4 minutes of you posting whether it's going to move on or not in the algorithm. So like when you post, your next 4 minutes is like drive time. Like you want to like work hard, or meaning you'll either get a quick comment right away and you want to go reply as quickly as possible, or B, you want to go find someone to help you create a little engagement, or tag someone and ask a question or do something like that. So yeah, Joan, you're absolutely right. And that's actually why you want to post during, high performing activities on Facebook. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I will say it depends on your avatar, but Saturdays suck. I almost never post on a Saturday unless it's the morning. Sunday nights are the highest engaging. Overall, in general, any morning or evening is good. 9 a.m., 6, 7, prime time. During the day, it's kind of like, but typically, especially for like moms, right? We're in the morning having our coffee, we're doing that, we're scrolling. And then at night, we're scrolling, right? So you have to know your audience specifically. But I would say typically any night except for Saturday, or Friday and Saturday. Friday and Saturday are like death nights, right? Don't do that. But any weekday night or Sunday night is good.
It was
Um,
good. Okay.
yeah, did that kind of answer that?
Yeah. Now, what about? I have another question here. What about people that are in different time zones?
Yeah. So that's a good question. So again, knowing your audience, right? When I say like 6 or 7, it really doesn't matter that big of a deal. Like, unless you're like, oh, you're in a whole another country and like, let's say that 80% of your audience is in the US and you live in like Europe, then you
Right.
should probably post around the US time zone, right? But
So basically, what you're saying is maybe you could even keep watch of those top 20s or the avatar folks. I mean, just kind of get a mental idea when they're online, right?
yeah, totally. Exactly. And
Mhm.
I wish I could go into this right now. You guys, I can't, but I know I'm going to be going into a little next week is how you can kind of find out when is your audience live. Sometimes Facebook does make a lot of changes, but sometimes there is a way that you can kind of look at your audience insights to find out when your audience is most active and who your audience is, and break it down to your, like, is it female, is it men, is it age bracket, etc.
Yeah, Megan, I have one more question around that. So, well, actually, you know what? Let me let you go because this one can come in the next section.
Okay, yeah. I want to cover one more thing
Yes.
before I forget. Um, so here's what's really important to notice about engagement, because to know about engagement. So why is engagement important, right? So if we know that A, we create content that starts conversations, B, we have people commenting and it keeps pushing through the feeds, and then C, we're replying to each comment, we're trying to have conversations, asking questions in the comments. Why is that important, right? What's the big picture? Well, and then what's the big picture? The big picture is Facebook rewards you as a content creator for engaging your audience on social media. Here's why. When people engage on social media, whether it mean on a profile or in a community, they keep people in the community. And so they reward you by showing your content to more people, right? Whether it mean in your friends list or into the public, followers. That's how your reels go up, things like that. Here is why. And this is a huge disconnect for people that don't really realize this and just think it's pointless. The entire reason, you guys, it all comes down to what? Money. And here's what I mean. When people are on the platform, guess what? They buy things from advertising. People like me, pay Facebook to show our ads, right? This is recently, we do mainly organic traffic, but people, big advertisers especially, advertise, pay Facebook a lot of money because they get quality leads. So when people stay, when the audience stays, right? The more the audience is plugging into Facebook and engaging, the more they keep their advertisers happy. Guess what? We, as the content creators, fuel Facebook like for free, basically. It's crazy. But here's what it rewards us by pushing our content out into the feeds. So when I say, if you understand how the algorithm works, you can now train the algorithm. And here's where I want to go. When you add a new friend, what do you think you should do? Go comment on their Facebook 2 times. Go send them a private message. What that tells Facebook is, oh my gosh, Joan and Megan just met in this Facebook group. Now they're talking on Messenger. Oh, instead of Joan being put in the end of Megan's friends list, we're going to move her up a little bit higher. And then guess what? When I see Jones post like the following day or the next week and I comment again and we engage in more conversation, it keeps moving her up higher and higher so that now she starts to see my feed, right? So she's seen more of my content and Facebook is pushing my content out to not just her and then more people. So when we understand the algorithm, we can train it from scratch when we get new people into our kind of Facebook funnel. And we can also understand that it will reward us as the content creator for engaging our audience, keeping them talking in the community.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I like that. I'm taking myself a lot of notes because some of these things I know, but some of these things I want to also make sure that I'm teaching others. And I know as a leader, sometimes we forget what we learn or we forget where we come from. So, okay, Megan, this gives me just kind of a general idea around engagement. But guys, I'm sure out there you've got one or two new things that either you needed to know yourself or that you need to train your team members because you're probably getting the same kind of, uh, you know, challenges that Megan and I get, which is how come my engagement is so low? How do I increase my reach? So, Megan, let's go now from engagement to attracting, because I know you said that was your number two thing you were going to discuss around crushing that algorithm.
Yeah. So attracting is really like a whole nother thing within itself. And so I really didn't plan on covering like attracting and converting. I want to tell you how we can dive in a little deeper, but I will touch on it pretty briefly too. Is notice I just said if you can train the algorithm from a new friendship, right? Like let's say you and I just connected, right, Joan? Now
Right.
I am and now I'm doing those things and now Facebook's rewarding me and showing more of my content to you because I'm creating engagement. We're talking and I'm getting in the comments and asking questions. And now when I do a curiosity post, let's say right around a product or a service or a recruiting post or something like that, now Joan, as I'm putting all of me and all the wildness that I am, Joan goes, huh, what's going on over there? Like I met that Megan gal, and like I can think of a gal, Kimberly Merritt. Recently, we connected in a Girls Run the World group, or so I don't even know what group it was, and she we connected, did the same thing. We both did the same thing because we know about attracting, or we know about engaging. But then she started to go, Megan, what do you do? What are you doing? Right? Did I ever message her and ask her if she wants to talk with me? No. She was attracted to me. And funny enough, we've become great online friends. And, we found out, oh my gosh, we're both obsessed with Gilmore Girls. We are into like the Enneagram stuff. She's an Enneagram coach. And so likes attract likes, right? So she started to notice more of things that she likes in me and then got curious around what I do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So, really, if you were going to sum up, because I know we only have really a few more minutes today, and I mean the whole point I think is, there's so many people out there that they just don't really realize how to engage, how to create an effective post. If you were going to just say, start by doing these three things today, what could they do if they wanted to walk away from our training today and, have something valuable?
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I would say is engage on other people's stuff in the feed. And if you're already doing this, again, if you've already built the habit, great for you. Start to get deeper, like ask questions, get curious, seek to understand first before being seeking to be understood, right? So get curious on your Facebook feed. Here's the thing. If I love this depiction because like this is the moment that I realized it all clicked for me. Like I told you that story and I get a little emotional like you took, Joan, when you remember that exact moment, like at the table, my son was 9 months old. I had to make online work. It was not an option. And I had this revelation. I was like, oh my gosh, it hit me. Facebook, like the feed is like a coffee shop or walking down your street. It's like it's like if I were to walk down the street and my neighbor walked by, like I would say hello. It would be kind of weird if I ignored my
Yeah.
son's mom, right?
Yep.
Or my son's mom, my son's friend's mom, whatever, the neighbor.
Right.
It would be kind of weird if I walked into a Starbucks and nobody said hello, right? Like I was a Starbucks professional, frappuccino maker, so I know more than anyone. Like that's how Starbucks operates, right? Very friendly. So it's the same thing online. Like people they get really confused. Like, what do I say? What do I do? What would you do in real life, in person,
Mhm.
right? You would say hello. You would comment, oh, I love your purse. Oh, I love your shoes. Oh, what are you getting today? It's the same thing. So I want to encourage you. The first thing I would say is go and make it a commitment to, and I'm sorry, I have this like little itch right here and it's kind of like driving me crazy. Everyone's probably like,
Thinking about you.
I can't get it. It's like, it won't go away.
Yeah. No, they're really thinking about you then.
Oh, so
Okay.
is that what that means?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Okay, but wait, let's get focused. So number one is you were just saying.
Number one is start to make a habit of commenting on 10 people's posts in your feed.
Yep. Okay, good. So create a habit right away in the morning before you do anything to comment on at least 10 people's post. Okay, now I got to ask you because people have been asking me this too, Megs. What about when Facebook supplies you with the comment versus when a person goes with the comment?
Yeah.
Does it
So
matter?
you know what? That I actually don't know. That's a good question. Like we do it and it doesn't hurt our algorithm, I'll tell you that. But the thing about it is it doesn't give a question. So like what I will usually do, and again, like I don't do it. We have a VA who does it, but he does that. But when when I will still do extra engagement, like for me, I almost sometimes would rather be like, I'm gonna do 2 to 3 super authentic engagements, like
Yeah.
read their whole post, comment, and probably message them too.
Yeah. So
Rather
really
than
it's better to go a little bit more authentic than generic.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I would say if you can do both, like still do 10, but 2 or 3 of them, like 10 of like just a quick emoji or like you got to comment, don't do a like emoji or like use the generic thing they give you. And then out of those 10, at least 2 to 3, like ask a question, like
Right.
whatever piques you, or maybe it's something where it's like, oh, this could be a good alignment. I want to seek to understand where they're at right now because there might be alignment for us.
Okay, one more question. On that note, is there a certain number of words or characters that trigger that algorithm in the responding, whether it's a question or comment?
Yeah. So I have heard, and again, you're stumping me a little bit. Like you're not stumping me, but I think it all comes down to just consistency over trying to like do the perfect thing. But
Yeah.
like Facebook will reward you as long as you're consistent. That's another thing I want to say in a quick second. But I have heard, this might have actually been from you, is 3 characters or more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but what matters more is like if you're asking a question that gets a response.
Yeah, a response, because what you're doing, kind of going back to the coffee shop, and I just have to say, I love that you explained it this way because to me, I just had a gal yesterday who was stuck, and we talked for just like 10 minutes, and she was able to go, oh, a new way of thinking about it, which was kind of like your coffee shop. I said, I want you to think about having a conversation with somebody when you're out and about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just like at the coffee shop. And if you can look at Facebook in that same way, you're just doing it on your phone or you're doing it online on your laptop or whatever, but you're still doing the same things. You're just writing it instead of verbalizing it 100%, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So this, I think, is really going to help a lot of people. Okay. So I got create the habit of 10. I love that. Okay. What's next? Engagement. Create the habit of 10. Well, you just said ask questions. So those open-ended questions, who, what, where, when, how, so that you'll get a response.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? Third thing.
without having to go into like training a new
Yeah.
topic, like a new piece,
Yeah.
I would say literally just messaging. So then out of those
Going
10,
into the IMs,
yeah,
right?
out of those 10 comments, actually DM 2 to 3 of those people. And
Yeah.
and again, people are like, well, then what do I say? Like, what? How do I bring up the product? You
Right.
don't. You
Right.
do not bring up the product. You
Right.
literally message them because something piqued your interest, and now you are engaging with them, and just do a voice message.
Right. Yeah. I know. You and we are voice message queens because for me, it takes way less time.
Yeah.
And I can be my authentic self just like I could be out on the street versus what do I write? It's kind of like,
Yeah.
what would I say to someone? I love that.
Yeah, it was so funny. We keep saying authentic self, and just had to tell this funny story. Friday, I was at Rob's event, and we did this like huge networking event for network marketers. And
Yeah.
Friday, I was at his house. We were preparing for like the VIP dinner. I was like in my sweats from the airplane, and he's like, I was like, I should probably change. Like we were matching though. It was really funny, and
Yeah.
he changed, and I was like, you changed. Now I should probably change. He's like, no, I was like legit in sweats. I had a coffee stain on my thing. And he's like, no, just like be your authentic self. He
Oh,
made a joke. And I was
yeah.
like, no, like we are gonna be with these like 7-figure earners, like we're gonna look good. Okay. And then I was like, but I did make a reel with my coffee stain purposely to show people that
Yeah.
stuff happens and I'm not
That
perfect.
you too spill coffee once in a while here and there, right?
Always. Like, literally, I think every
Yeah.
piece of clothing somehow has a coffee stain. It's just a matter of, like, how well have I hidden it, and I have a couple that have coffee stains that I still don't care. I still wear it because I can't get it out. It's my favorite one, and it's just,
Your
like, there,
favorite
and I'm like,
cozies.
"This is me."
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I love it.
But
Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up today. So I want to just recap real quickly. So, how to crush the Facebook algorithm in 3 steps. Today, we really took a deep dive into engaging. Megan gave create um, those 10 habits of engaging every single morning. Ask questions open ended to get people to get into conversation with you. And then go into your DMs and private message people one on one and begin making connections and collecting friends. Ultimately, what'll happen is those people end up seeing your stuff around curiosity around your business and your products, and then you've warmed them up to a place of possibly attracting them based on your authenticity and kindness. People buy from people they know, like and trust. So I love, Megan, that you shared that. Now I know that the next 2 steps are really deeper dives into attract and then of course convert. How can our audience get more and more of this, Megan?
yeah, so, um, so I know I really like wanted to. I was like, Joan, just let me do this like 2-hour training and knock it out on here.
Yeah,
And
no.
she's like, no, she's like, no. So what I think would be the best thing is, so we have an upcoming virtual event. So I want to invite you guys to that because we're going to dive deeper. And in this event, we're going to be talking all about recruiting, but on day 1 specifically, we're going to dive deeper into this. And I'm actually going to give my number 1 proven with thousands of network marketers, proven post to increase 10x your engagement.
I love it.
Hands down, we have people who have never had more than 5 comments get 50 to 100 comments. People who never get more than 50 who get 400 comments. It is so crazy that we're going to be giving that away and diving deeper. So we're going to be having a free 5-day virtual event. It's called the Ultimate Recruiting Bootcamp to help you unlock true digital recruiting skills that will help you utilize social media and do more of the attract and conversion. So when we fully understand how to engage, then we can learn how to attract and then convert.
I
So
love
it's gonna be incredible. Joan, you've got some amazing stuff lined up for the recruiting conversations and all that. So you guys, you can grab your spot at www.ultimaterecruitingbootcamp.com. We'll get it posted in the link. I know a ton of people have already joined. If you've joined, let us know down below. We also have a VIP lounge access with insider access that you can grab as well. I know we've got quite a few in there already. With some private stuff to really help a select group also as well with some of our kind of implementation labs. So
Right.
I'm super excited about the boot camp.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, me too. You know, Megan and I decided to combine forces and really give you our very best. So I am thrilled to be doing this. I want to remind everybody that the first 2 days are really focused on social media. And day one is social media blueprint to building a 7-figure business. Day two is expanding your social media reach so that you can attract those quality business builders. So Megan, I want to thank you for being on the Leader Lowdown today. And for all of you that have not yet signed up, I'm going to drop the link below, and I look forward to seeing you on day one of the boot camp. Thanks for joining in. And Megan, thank you again so much for your time today. I know you just got back from your trip and your time is very valuable. So thank you so much.
Well, and I just want to say too, for those, if you have since then joined, drop a 5 in the comments. If you've joined the boot camp, let us know. And I want you to, once you join the boot camp, message me, because I'm going to see if I can get you a couple of other engagement posts too. So go ahead and register for that boot camp. Shoot me a private message, because I want to get you into action over the next couple days before the boot camp actually starts. So
Well,
I'm super
and
excited
Megan,
you guys.
one of the documents that we have, we'll just let everybody know, is chock full of effective recruiting posts
Yeah.
that we have collected over the past 6-8 months, to really be able to give you guys the best of, not just from us, but these are from the best in the industry. So,
Yeah, I'm
all
excited.
righty.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Okay, see ya. Thanks, Megs.
You're welcome.